1,000 Tracings is a children's book set in the 1940s. It tells the story of a Midwestern mother and daughter who led a relief effort to send food and clothing and shoes overseas to families left devastated by World War II. Lita Judge was so inspired by her caring mother and grandmother that in sharing their story, she followed her dreams. And she's inspiring the next generation to tell their own stories. She's created a series of panels that simplify the process, showing how her idea became an edited manuscript, and that beautiful watercolor illustrations begin with rough sketches and lots of changes along the way.
In this one, I originally had her facing forward, but I decided to flip her because this is the kind of the height of the story, and when things are becoming, the 1,000 Tracings is becoming a daunting task of getting enough shoes for everybody. So I realized to tell the story, I needed her facing into her story.
It's that kind of passion and attention to detail that she pours into all her work. She spends most days in her home studio in Peterborough with her cats and her husband Dave, who helps shoulder the demands of a career on the rise. She's living her dream as a successful writer and illustrator of children's books barely 3 years after getting started.
I've illustrated a couple of books, a couple of chapter books, and an alphabet book for Sleeping Bear Press, and 2 of those books are out and one's coming out in the spring. But I'm really starting to write my own material now. So I have a dinosaur book, which was a great experience for me because I loved dinosaurs as a kid. I got a degree in geology. I worked on dinosaur digs, and now I get to return to my first love and reconnect with all my paleontology friends.
She does lots of research and says focusing on accuracy in the finished drawing is the most time-consuming part of the process.
Because I will do, in the course of working on a book, I'll do thousands and thousands of sketches and just try to get the idea for, first I'm trying to get the concept of how I want to do, and then I have to practice the anatomy and get, when I do a book, whether it's figure work or dinosaurs, I want the anatomy to be right. I want the kids to really know what these critters look like. In this case, Trudon is a dinosaur that has the largest eyes, and they figure it was probably one of the smartest dinosaurs because of the size of the brain to its skull. So I really wanted to focus in on the eyes for this dinosaur.
She makes painting seem like the easy part.
And the painting is the time to just do what you've done your homework, you've figured out what you want to do. Now it's just time to make the painting work.
She goes back and forth instinctively from water to picture to paint. She uses quick strokes and some adapted techniques, a self-taught artist with a keen eye and a love for nature and characters. Her studio is very organized. Finished watercolors of baby dinosaurs are grouped together, ready to be sent to press. Mogo and his friends are already there. He's a warthog featured in an upcoming book that a subsidiary of Disney is publishing. And she has what she calls a think board just across from her easel, where characters from her varied projects are there when she looks up, waiting for their stories to be told.
Actually, this is a story about an orangutan that escapes from the zoo. And then I have another story I'm working on, which I'm really excited about, called Pennies for Elephants.
It's set in 1914 and is based on the true story of area children raising money for elephants at the Boston Zoo.
And the kids just got on board. The 50,000 kids sent in pennies and nickels over the course of 3 months. And the paper covered their efforts. They did tap dancing recitals and magic shows and did extra chores and washed windows, anything they could to earn the money for it. It was the equivalent of buying about 12 very expensive cars. It was just under $7,000 they had to earn. But in 1914, that was a lot of money.
She's juggling several projects at once, living a dream.
And I only wrote because I wanted to illustrate. That's actually what my goal was, to illustrate. But in the course of writing my first and second book, I absolutely fell in love with the writing process as well. And I suddenly realized that my art all along, that I had been a storyteller more than just a painter.
Her own story is still evolving. The inspiration for its chapters traced back to some other very caring, impassioned women.